What?
I mean, I'm excited. Who doesn't want to spend their Sunday afternoon talking insurance?
Talking, I know, right?
I'm stoked.
Wake up and think to myself, man, I cannot wait to tell people about what I do and talk about insurance. And 100% no sarcasm. I mean that passionately from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely mean that. Reason being,
you're probably in the right field.
I am in the right field, but believe it or not, I don't come from this field, David. This is not something that I ever thought I would be doing. You know, I was in third grade Tonya with my crayons, and when the teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, it wasn't an insurance agent by any means. But here I am, and I absolutely love what I do because I get to meet people like Mac. I get to meet people like Marcos's wife Aseret, and now you're in Kansas. I overheard, right?
Yep.
How long have you been there?
May 1st of last year.
So May 1st of last year.
So you got so about a year and a month.
Okay, so a couple more years to go at least.
No. Since I'm getting out, I have like 9 months, 10 months tops.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, the highlights on like the brochure said there would be tornadoes. I have yet to see one. They don't have them in San Diego. So I was sold a bill of goods. So.
And that did not deliver. I gotcha.
No, I'm holding out hope though.
Okay, well listen, I've been to Kansas prior to moving to the beautiful state of Mississippi, where the Army has decided to relocate us. We had to drive through Kansas, and we stopped by to see a good friend of Wayne's, and it's super windy out there, and it's totally flat, and then I understand why there's a lot of potential hurricanes out there, so I get it. But yeah, Mississippi, right?
Are you guys stationed at that one that's like a tiny post on like an island in the middle of a lake?
No.
Oh, is that
that might be better. That almost sounds better than what we got going on. I don't know if you've ever been to Mississippi, but oh man, I don't recommend it.
Over there.
I drove through Mississippi once, and my wife said, "Don't stop, even if we're running out of gas." She was like, "Don't stop."
I tell people, I say, hey, if you're going to come to Mississippi, it should only be while you're driving through, and don't stop. There's nothing to see here. So I'm from the beautiful state of Colorado. So imagine my culture shock having to leave Colorado and come here.
Less mountains.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely less mountains. It's very humid. It's like a wet blanket every morning. It's been torrential rainfall all day long. So, I'm living the good life. But that's okay because I'm hanging out inside where it's dry and I get to hang out with fine folks like yourself and Matt. But let me just tell you a little bit about myself, David. I know that, Wayne mentioned that I'm his beautiful partner in crime. The insurance industry, this is what I'm doing right now. Mississippi has definitely given me this opportunity because I probably wouldn't have gotten into it otherwise. I would still be working my 9 to 5, trying to make ends meet, working paycheck to paycheck. But since I do this, and I don't know if you know this, David, but the finance industry is one of the top highest paying industries that you can be in with the lowest starting capital.
I've heard some stuff like that. My aunt is an insurance executive, and my cousins work for her company, and my sister, actually, she's like my best friend. Her mom just sold her insurance agency for $10 million, and I was like, man, I'm in the wrong gig.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's definitely lucrative. So with that being said, let me ask you, David, what are your intentions to do after you get out of the military?
Well,
yes,
it's twofold. Everyone's got to have a side hustle. So the primary plan is to get out and go work in my field of emergency management. I have my master's degree in emergency management, Homeland Security. So I want to go work for FEMA or some of the state emergency management agencies. And on the secondary side, the plan is to teach as an adjunct professor at universities while also pursuing my PhD. either paid for by the Army or the university. I don't really care as long as it's not me. So.
Okay, well, I love it. I love it. It sounds like you definitely have a plan.
I'm a planner.
Yeah, well, kudos to you, as most people should be, but unfortunately, some people kind of fall, through the cracks when it comes to that class in high school. What should you do with the rest of your life, right? And that's kind of the problem with high school and schooling in general, is that they don't teach people, a lot of the common sense adulting type of things that they should be teaching. Finances, retirement, taxes, how to balance a checkbook, right? So
I really wish I learned that in high school, but I was a little weirdo. I actually set my bedroom up to look like an office when I was 9. I made business cards. I've just studied business and money since I was like a kid. I was just a little weirdo.
So. No, that's not a weirdo by any means. I think your parents did a pretty good job with you, if that's something that you gravitated towards.
Maybe. Time will tell.
What does your parents do?
My mom was a real estate agent for a while, but mostly she was a homemaker. And my dad, he's not fully allowed to tell me because his security clearance is higher than mine. But as of now, he designs, I want to say, missile guidance systems for Northrop Grumman as a defense contractor. He also worked for Disney for 20 years. I don't know if you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World.
No.
The computer software that makes those rides run safely and not kill people, he writes it.
Wow.
Like, he writes the software.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a very interesting. I got to be honest, that's the first time I've ever spoken to anybody that had parents that did something as cool as that, because that's pretty cool. That's pretty, very cool, actually.
It's cool, but on career day, it's just your dad sitting in front of a computer showing people how to type fast. But it's cool.
You're like, I know how to, numbers and lines and data. Okay, awesome. So listen, David, I just want to say really quickly, I really appreciate you taking time out of your, afternoon to be able to hop on this call and help Mac out with what he's going to be doing and working with us. He's going to be getting through his state. He's going to be getting licensed through his state, his life insurance license. And I know that he's really, since he started with us, he's been, full force ahead because he's excited. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to be doing within this company. So, having good friends like yourself and being able to hop on these trainings is going to be very, very beneficial for him moving forward. So again, I'd just like to say a big thank you to you. But I know it was either Mac or Wayne that had called you yesterday. Did they give you any type of insight as far as what we were actually going to be speaking about today?
Several words were mentioned that have come up since we got on the call. Words like insurance, words like training, words like Mac, and the word sales, usually preceded by not sales or something like that, not selling. I don't know. So I'm ready. Let's just jump in and do some life insurance stuff, training, whatnot. Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll make it short and sweet, David. I just want to let you know, in the next 12 minutes, we're just simply going to be, I'm just going to explain who we are, what we do, and why Mac is so excited. But let me reassure you, I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm not trying to sell you. But I will say this: if you happen to find any interest in anything that we go over today, maybe this is something that you want to do for yourself. I encourage you to talk to Mac about it. And also, because it's life insurance, if you have any questions, either for yourself, your family, or maybe a loved one, I also encourage you to definitely jump in, ask questions, because the more questions that you ask, the better the training is going to be for him, okay?
So is this life insurance sales, or like providing life insurance and insurance products, basically?
So essentially, yeah, and I'll tell you a little bit more about our our company and what it is that we do and how we're able to help people out with various products and services. It is just a whole, I want to say we're like a full financial services company. We are able to help individuals and families with a lot of different financial vehicles, life insurance being one of them. But, just first and foremost, just being able to bring financial literacy into the homes of people that, may not be privy to it, because it sounds
Oh my
like
God, that's a big deal.
it is a big deal.
Yeah.
I grew up in a home where, your mom and dad, they had good jobs. They probably were very, educated when it came to finances and things of that nature. But unfortunately, a lot of the people that we meet with, they don't have these conversations. I'm a Hispanic female, and these are not conversations that we had growing up. We didn't talk about taxes and finances and life insurance and retirement around our dinner table.
I am well acquainted. My wife is a first-generation Hispanic female who clawed her way to 3 degrees with no help. Yet in our marriage, when we first got married, she was like, "So where do we put savings? Like in a jar?" Or I was like, "Oh God,
like under the mattress."
Yeah. So but we've been together 8 years, and she's come a long way. But the story she tells me about, basically, she was like, "We never worried about saving or where to put money for retirement because we never had any. We were just trying to eat food for the week or the next day." So I'm all about increasing financial literacy. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. I know myself being a Hispanic female, my mom was a second generation welfare recipient. So times were definitely tough growing up, but I knew me personally that I always wanted to do better. Be better, do better for my kiddos. I have three daughters myself, so I definitely try to influence them in the best way possible that I can. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this as well. But obviously, David, you heard of the word life insurance, yes?
I mean, yeah, everyone keeps saying it.
Everyone keeps saying it. We keep throwing that word around. Well, let me ask you, David, did you know that the life insurance has been around for over 2,000 years?
I had heard something about that when I was studying the Romans, but I didn't actually dig into it because I was like, gladiators are cooler than Roman life insurance. But
and what they had going on, right? How they built the Roman Empire. It wasn't just about the gladiators.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So obviously everybody knows about the word life insurance, and if they don't, they should, and this is where we come into place. And unfortunately, until people stop passing away, we're always going to know what that word is. But let me ask you, David, honestly, when was the last time that you ever heard about the life insurance industry crashing?
I think there was that time in 2008 where people stopped dying for a while. No, never.
We can put this on pause. They're like, listen, we got enough of that stuff going on with the market crash and the housing bubble bursting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the thing is that it doesn't happen. It's pretty much a recession-proof industry, and that's why it's been around for so long. But that's exactly why more and more people are actually coming into this industry, because it provides a level of income stability. Okay. So let me, I'll get into it really quickly. Let me share my screen with you really quickly. Let me know. Can you see that still?
Yeah,
can you see my screen? Okay.
The new life insurance, PHP. Yes.
The new life insurance.
And just so you're aware, I've actually been in the market for life insurance. My aunt was appalled when she found out that I didn't have any outside of my job, and she's been calling me monthly to make me get a life insurance policy.
Well, good. So let me ask you, is your aunt, is she an agent?
She started as an agent, but now she just kind of manages. I don't know if you're familiar with Chubb Insurance. They do a lot of subcontracting for bigger firms. She just kind of manages a ton of other agents in the company. So she's like a director of something. I don't pay attention.
Okay. So. Okay. Well, I'm glad that she's at least passionate about it and definitely wanting to make sure it's set up for success.
So these numbers, are these real?
These are real. I'll explain them to you in a little bit, okay? But like I was saying, David, PHP agency, that's our company, and it stands for People Helping People, because 100% that's exactly what we do. And if you look on the right side over here, these products and services, this is how we're able to help people. So we help people with 401k rollovers. IRAs and Roth IRAs, life insurance, long-term care, annuities, and debt settlement. Out of those, are you familiar with any? Do you own any? Tell me.
Well, I worked in finance for Wells Fargo for a few years before the Army, and I became intimately familiar with all of them except for long-term care.
All of them except for long-term care? Okay, perfect. So then let me ask you a question. Do you see these logos over here on the side right below the products and services?
Yes.
I'm curious, do any of those look familiar to you?
Yes.
Which one stand out the most?
Like the three that I know are AIG, MetLife, and National Life Group.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And you know what's funny is that when I ask people that same question, they tell me the same thing. For whatever reason, it's those three companies. But let me ask you this, David. If I were to ask you within a 2-mile radius of where you live right now, down to the exact address and zip code, would you be able to tell me where a MetLife office is located at?
No.
No, and therein lies the problem. So obviously, you know the word life insurance. We've said it more than several times within this conversation, and you even recognize some of these companies. But the reality is, David, is that when it comes time to people actually needing it, people have no idea where to go. They don't know who to go to. So unfortunately, what happens is that allows things like GoFundMe to become popular for all the wrong reasons. So I know when you're scrolling Facebook, you come across GoFundMe donations, that people asking for donations, right? People selling barbecue plates to try to pay for burial expenses for their loved ones. You've seen that, right?
I don't have Facebook, but I have seen people standing outside Walmarts with T-shirts.
Yeah. And it's a really, really sad reality. So you know what the industry said? They said, we have got to do something different. So right now what they're doing is they're taking a different approach. They want to bring in a new breed of agents into the industry, and they want them to represent every single community that needs it the most, from African Americans to Hispanic to Polynesian to Caucasian and everybody in between. But the problem is that these agents, they need to be trained, and that's where our company comes in, okay? So what my agency does is we're responsible for recruiting, training, and developing agents within this industry. So we help them develop their skills. Mac, for example, we help them get licensed, and they become the representatives of these companies to be able to bring this information to the kitchen tables of the families that need it most, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So really quickly, in the next 3 minutes, I'll just briefly go over what life insurance is, and if you have any questions, feel free to jump in, okay? So let's see. And I just want to throw this out there, David. Life insurance is not complicated by any means. A lot of people think that there's a lot to life insurance, but there really are only 3 types of life insurance. It doesn't matter which company you go with. There's only 3. There's obviously variations of the 3, but there's only 3, okay? So we'll talk about number 1.
I mean, it's significantly less complicated for the person whose policy is getting cashed in.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's crazy is it makes things a lot easier when somebody has an actual life insurance policy in place versus not having anything. And now the family, it's bad enough that they're struggling with the death of a lost one, of a loved one, but now they have to go through probate potentially because they are not set up to be able to handle those types of circumstances, unfortunately. But let's talk about it a little bit. So we'll talk about number 1. Number 1 is a term type of policy, okay? People like this, and it's a really popular policy because it's super affordable. On average, it's about $30 a month. That's $1 a day. I don't know if you drink coffee, but you're probably spending more than $1 even at your gas station, right? Starbucks for sure. So that's why people like this type of policy. So that's a benefit, super affordable. The downside is that it expires, okay? So I'll give you an example, David. Let's say, a woman, she's 34, she's healthy, she wants $500,000, right? So she's gonna pay, like I said, roughly about $30 a month. Downside to this policy is that after 30 years that she's been paying into this policy, the policy expires. What do you think happens to all of that money that she's been contributing for the past 30 years?
Well, it depends on the company because some of the ones I've looked at, some of them give you like a return on your payment or like return on investment. you know, like not all of it, but you get a good chunk back, but then to others, it's just a positive.
So majority of the time, I will say this, and you're absolutely on the right track, and you know way more than a lot of people that I speak with typically. With a common term policy, like number one, they don't get any of their money back. All of that goes to the insurance company. So, you know, if you use the death benefit, if something were to happen to this woman between 34 and 64, then her family would get that death benefit paid out. But if it expires, then she loses the policy and she loses the money that she's been contributing. And now she's 30 years older. So if she still has an insurable need, then chances are she's going to have to get another policy. And she's older now. She's 30 years older. So it's definitely going to be an increase in her monthly premium. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about number two. And number two is exactly what you just mentioned to me. It's an ROP, which stands for return of premium. So the easiest way that I can explain this one is that it's just like number one, except at the end when it goes away in terms of coverage, you know, obviously the client doesn't have the coverage anymore, but at least they get a refund of all of their premiums. So you're absolutely right. This is the type of policy where somebody could pay, you know, over the course of 30 years, and maybe they don't need to use that benefit, but at least at the end of it, when it expires, they get their money back. That's pretty cool, right?
Getting money back is always cool.
Getting money back is always cool, absolutely. So term and ROP, those are both types of term policies. So it's kind of like renting an apartment versus buying a house. You know, you might get your deposit back at the end as long as you don't leave a stain on the floor, okay?
Fair. But what equates to a stain on the floor in life insurance? Like a heart attack? Loss of a limb?
So, you know, you would get all your money back. So you know what, that's a really great question. And when you put it in that sense, we actually work with companies who, even in their term policies, this is obviously a huge benefit to a permanent policy, but even in a term policy, there's something called living benefits. Yeah, call him. Did you not call him? Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys. My husband.
Tell him to call the guy.
I gotta hold his hand. I gotta write it down. I gotta. Anyway, so he made me lose my train of thought and everything. We were talking about term and ROP. I was talking about living benefits. So I'll explain a little bit more in regards to that, and I will answer your question as far as leaving a stain in the floor. Okay, but let me talk about the permanent policy. Which is it?
I have my AirPods in. Is it all right if I just run to my kitchen to fill my glass of water? I'm listening. I'm still listening. I just won't be in front of the screen. Is that okay?
Yeah, no. You go ahead.
I am listening, and I am excited. Continue, please.
Okay. So we talked about number one and number two. So number three is a permanent policy. Obviously, it's permanent because it doesn't go away until you pass away. This type of policy is actually guaranteed up to the age of 121. Okay. So this policy is very popular because obviously it's going to cover basic burial expenses, and it's also going to cover final expenses. You know, and these are types of policies that we'll put in place for our parents if they're older, you know. So that's how a permanent policy works. It doesn't go away until you pass away. So the other reason why people will get these types of policies is what I just kind of mentioned. I touched on it a little bit, and it's called living benefits. So what happens to somebody, like say they get cancer, stroke, heart attack, right? So this policy and living benefits in general, it gives you the ability to pull out a portion of that death benefit if for any reason between now and the day you pass away, you ever have things like that, like a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. So instead of just, you know, utilizing your death benefit when you pass away, you're actually able to use your life insurance while you're still living. So that's awesome. That's what I mean about, you know, you might leave a stain on the floor, but you'll get some of your money back, right?
Hey, I like that.
So that's what I meant by that. Now, obviously, this is my favorite part of the permanent policy because it has cash value. Just like equity builds in your house, Equity builds in this type of policy. So a portion of your premium goes into the cash value. So what happens is that cash, now it's accumulating at anywhere from a 6 to 12% interest rate. And so when the market goes up, you're growing your money, but when the market goes down, it has a 0% floor, meaning you don't lose any of your money.
So I'm not losing any of my money, but in the event that the market goes up, it wouldn't matter if it went up or down, right? Because I can't touch the money unless I have a stroke or die.
No, not at all. So let me tell you, all of that money is accessible to you, tax-free, penalty-free. That's your money. People will use that cash accumulation to supplement their retirement. Okay.
Oh, you're talking just the gains, like capital gains, almost like. Okay.
Yeah, but with capital gains, you have to pay taxes on capital gains. Whereas this policy, the cash that accumulates, you pay 0 taxes. You don't have to worry about that. So the thing is that you can use that money. You don't have to just use it for retirement. You can use it for other investments. You can use it for real estate investments. You can use it to go on vacation, put a down payment on a house. You literally can use that money for anything that you want to because that's your money.
I'm listening.
That's pretty cool, right? Listen, so it's growing at a 6 to 12% interest rate and it has a 0% floor. You absolutely cannot lose your money. Your principal is protected. So I don't know, David, you sound like a smart guy. I don't know if you know anywhere that you can go this day and age and earn at least 6% on your money and it compounds every year.
Government bonds in India, but other than that, and some risky states, some risky nation states, it's not happening. Not in the U.S.
It's not. Yeah, and anything that you invest in, mutual funds, stock markets, 401ks, 403bs, CDs, all of those, you potentially can gain that much money because it's tied to the stock market. So yeah, you definitely have the opportunity to have unlimited growth, but you know what also you have? You have the potential for unlimited loss. Whereas with this type of account, you don't ever have to worry about that. Your money is always protected and you're always going to have that growth. And it's liquid. You don't have to worry about penalties. You don't have to worry about fees. You don't have to worry about early withdrawal fees. You don't have to worry about anything because that's your money. Okay? So that's how the cash value works in that type of policy. I'm gonna do this really quickly. I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'm gonna show you another fun chart that I like showing people just so you have a better understanding. Can you see this?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay,
you're talking about like a graph, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
When you have your money in a bank or savings account, you might earn 0.01, 1% if you're lucky, okay? That's what we call linear growth, okay? It's safe, but you're not accumulating much value, right? Now, if you have your money in a stock market, 401k, mutual fund, things of those nature, it's tied to the stock market. So when the stock market goes up, great, you're making money. But when the stock market goes down, 2001 dot-com bust, right? 2008 housing bubble. This is about the time when people have heart attacks, when that stock market goes down and all of their money that's tied up in their 401ks, they're losing that money. So you have unlimited income potential, but you also have unlimited income loss. Whereas with this type of policy, your money goes up, but when the stock market goes down, it just levels out. And then when the stock market goes back up, it goes up. When the stock market goes down, it levels out. So you're never losing any of your money. And this is what people don't know about. Is
PHP a publicly traded company?
Not yet. And guess what? And I don't know, Mac, if Wayne told you, I'm sure that he did because this is very exciting. We actually have the potential to earn equity in the company this year, and we're not public yet.
Is there a parent company for PHP?
Nope. Our founder and CEO, I don't know if you're familiar with this gentleman. He's pretty popular. He has the #1 channel on YouTube for entrepreneurs. I think he just hit, like last month, he hit 3 million subscribers. His name is Patrick Bet-David. Does it ring a bell?
Not much. My fraternity brothers are always talking finance, and they're always bringing up the name, but I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, that's our founder and CEO, Patrick Bet-David. He is a brilliant man. He was actually a former Marine, got out of the Marines and decided he wanted to definitely try to do something better. The finance industry, like I said, is the highest paying industry that you can be a part of with the lowest startup capital. And part of the reason why he did it is because, middle class America, he comes from Iran. So he grew up in a household where his parents, his dad, was gone most of his childhood because he was always working to try to provide for his family. So he put himself in a situation, all right, how can I help middle class America? How can I help the working Americans to be able to put themselves in a better place financially and leave a legacy for the most part? He started this company in 2009 with 62 agents. 2021, we have close to 18,000 agents right now. And his vision is to have 500,000 licensed agents by 2024. This is not a saturated market. There are far too many people and not enough life insurance agents. There are more real estate agents in the state of Texas than there are in the nation right now, than there are in the nation when it comes to life insurance agents. This is why the insurance companies utilize us. This is why the insurance companies pay so well. This is an industry that has been around for over 2,000 years. They are backed by reinsurance. They are recession proof. They can afford to pay these life insurance agents. They can afford to pay us really, really good money because, that's the way it's designed. So this type of policy, let me share my screen again. This permanent policy, David, just so you know, in 1982, the government said, hey, we're gonna put, certain stipulations in place for this permanent life insurance policy to become popular so that people can actually build their cash value in this policy to try to deter them from relying on their 401k and Social Security benefits. The government doesn't want to have to pay out Social Security benefits, so they put this in place. They said, hey, you can have your cash accumulate at this percentage of the stock market, and you can access it tax-free to supplement your retirement so that the government isn't having to pay out all of those Social Security benefits. That's why that's in place right now. Are you learning something new today?
I had a question. So with pulling out the cash value, do people, it doesn't take away from the business's annuity sales?
No, because listen.
Just because both of them, I think, provide cash when you're old.
You're absolutely right. Annuities are a great vehicle. And what annuities are, let's say somebody, had a business and they've been putting away money that they've been saving underneath their mattress, right? Or they've been putting it in the bank and it's not doing anything. It's not working. Their money's not working for them. So what they can do with that money or a 401k is they can roll it over into an annuity, okay? So that annuity is for retirement. You're absolutely right. So now the people are growing their money again with a 0% floor. Their principal is protected. They're not at exposure for loss in the stock market. And they could also have an option to have income for life. So you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about your money running out before you pass away. You can have income for life for an annuity. So the beautiful thing, and this is what Mac is learning about, this is what Asada, who is also on the call, is learning about. This cash of value that you're accumulating in your life insurance policy, you could take a portion of that out, say $50,000, tax-free, put it into an annuity, and now you have $50K growing and compounding had like 7 to 8% interest, and now you have retirement. And the beautiful thing about annuities is you can have a beneficiary for an annuity too. This is what we call infinite banking. This is why the wealthy stay wealthy. This is how the rich get rich. Banks do this. Life insurance companies do this. When you say you had $10,000 that you had stowed away under your mattress, you go deposit that into a bank and you needed to pull that money back out, 4 years later. It's not like the movies. The banks just don't have this big fancy vault with tons of money just sitting around waiting for you to come and make a withdrawal. They take that money and they invest it into life insurance funds.
I know. I was a banker for 3 years. There's no money in the vaults. There's literally, they'll carry like 10 grand on hand tops. There's nothing in there. I don't even know why they locked it.
Exactly. This is how it works. And this is why I love what I do, because most people that I talk to don't know about this. And their mind is just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, why haven't I known about this? I've been trying to get rich, and make money in the stock market. And I might earn like 5% one day, but then I'm losing 7% the very next day. You know what I mean? So it's like your money is at risk. Whereas in these types of accounts, you don't have that. I get so excited about it because it really is mind blowing stuff. Every time I learn more and more about it,
I do have an odd question. So you know how with banks, customers are federally insured per account up to $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Are these insurance policies backed by the FDIC? Are they? I know it's odd to ask if an insurance policy has an insurance policy, but if something crazy were to happen, some Enron type scandal or collapse, are these policies backed by anything?
No, that's an absolute great question. And to be honest with you, it's not backed by FDIC. So FDIC is federally insured.
Yeah.
Insurance companies have reinsurance. They're backed dollar per dollar by yet another insurance company. But because insurance has been around for so long, there's absolute zero risk. You don't ever have to worry about not getting your money out. But this is exactly why they do it. This is exactly why they take your money that you're putting in here and they reinvest it in something else. So that in the event they do have to pay out this $500,000, they have the money to do it. You would never have to worry about not getting your money, in other words. Make sense?
It does. I just think it's an odd concept. Life insurance is for when you're dead, but you're still getting money. But everyone's like, I don't care about my life insurance. I'll be dead. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, that's what people think. That's what people think. And this is why we're so passionate about what we do and why we go out here and we educate people, because people don't know about this type of stuff. And it's, it's like this little secret that the rich covet. Because do you watch sports at all?
Sometimes. I mostly watch financial documentaries and cooking shows, though.
I love that. Well, I love that. See, David, I knew I was going to like you. Listen, people.
Just a weirdo.
Not by any means. Let's say for the majority, what's the number one thing that people watch on Sundays?
Probably football.
Football. Or they watch basketball, right? Okay. Let me use this as an example. Say you're watching Mac. You watch football. You look like you watch football.
Nope, I don't even watch TV really. I'm weird too.
No, okay, all right. Well, okay, so all right, let me take my foot out of my mouth then. So let's say somebody's sitting down on the couch, they're watching football on Sunday, right? What type of commercials are they showing when you're watching football? Nike commercials, Doritos commercials, Taco Bell commercials. They're commercials for the consumer. Yes? People, They want you to buy stuff. They want you to buy stuff. They want you to buy the best jersey. They want you to buy the coolest kicks, the new Jordans that come out, right? So they are geared towards consumers. Now, if you ever watch golf, tennis, those commercials, you know what kind of commercials they have?
Probably the same type as Matlock and NCIS in the middle of the day. A lot of
No,
investments for gold
yeah,
and insurance.
Here, you need reverse mortgage.
Yeah, all kinds of
No.
old people commercials.
It's insurance commercials, Hartford commercials, because I hate to say it, but rich people, they just know things. They watch golf, they watch tennis. They're not consumers, they're investors. So this
Oh,
is
yeah.
why a majority of people don't know about this stuff.
I actually learned a lot of that when I was a banker because they were like, look, they didn't say it as directly, but they were like, look, you speak really well, and we need a higher diversity presence in our high, what do they call it? High revenue clientele area. Basically, they're like, we need a black guy in our rich area.
You were the token black guy.
I was, and so they put me there, and I literally did nothing but like handle accounts for people. They were like, this is my vacation spending account. It's only 250,000. So I don't, I'm just checking on it, and I'm just like, only 250? Okay. But I learned a lot financially from them because it was like, so what do you do with your money? They're like, oh, I don't believe in bank savings. It never grows. You need to grow. And I started reading. Turns out they were right. You need to grow at a minimum of 3% just to even break even. And I was like, oh, banks are a sham.
Yeah, you know that
savings wise anyway.
You're familiar with the rule of 72, right?
Never heard of it.
You never heard of the rule of 72?
No, it sounds familiar, but I'll be honest. In college and business school, I was young and I was drunk a lot. So it sounds familiar, but I don't remember anything about it.
Okay, let me show you. I'm going to show, let me do it on this screen.
I've heard the one where they're like, if you get kidnapped, you have 72 hours and you're pretty much gone. Is that not, are we not talking about the same rule?
That's different. Okay, you guys don't judge me because I'm drawing on my touch screen here and I'm not the best drawer when it comes to this, but the rule of 72. So let's say we'll do 72. Let's say you're earning an 8% interest rate. How many times does it go into 72?
Oh God, I don't do math in public. It's kind of a rule.
You gotta take off your socks.
Yeah, I need all 10 toes. What were we talking, 9?
9, absolutely. So 9.
Yeah.
8 goes into 72, 9. So 9 years is how many years it will take for your money to compound at an 8% interest rate. So if you have $100,000 in 9 years, so this is 9. So in 9 years at 18, you'll have $200,000.
Oh yeah, no, I have seen this.
You'll have $400,000, right?
Yeah, now I know what you're talking about.
That's how compound interest works. That's the rule of 72.
Why 72?
There's just that magical number. It's like the question, the answer to the question, 42. I don't know.
I mean, 52 is the number of weeks in a year, something, but 72.
Yeah, 72. Listen, you'd have to get with Einstein about that one.
I hear it's hard to reach him nowadays.
It is. It's probably a little bit more difficult to reach him, but I just want to show you this because I want you to actually see it. So let me ask you this, David. Let me ask you this. Let me back up. We talked about term, we talked about ROP, and we talked about permanent. Out of those 3, which one makes the most sense to you?
I usually go with whatever makes me money.
So number 3?
Yep.
I would 100% agree with you. Absolutely. Let me do this. So then let me do this. I'm going to show you numbers. Obviously, we're training for math, so we're going to show you this part as well.
I enjoy numbers. I literally think about numbers in my sleep. I love numbers.
Oh, man. How do you get any sleep?
I don't really do that.
Counting sheep. Really. We're talking about counting sheep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you.
Do you have policies with PHP?
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have a permanent IUL policy, and I also have a term policy. Wayne also has policies, and my 3 daughters and my stepson all have policies.
So like you have a few.
What's that?
So like you have a few.
I have a few, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I'm going to be selling something, I should be the first one to have it, right?
In this case, yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. David, what's your last name?
Allison, 2 L's, Allison.
S-O-N, okay. What's your date of birth?
April 4th, 1990.
I'm going to send you a birthday card next year, because April's passed.
That'd be awesome. My brother forgot this year, so it's cool.
Okay, Kansas is where you're currently at. All right, I just want to show you something.
Keep reminding me.
What's that?
I said you keep reminding me that I'm in Kansas.
I know. I'm sorry. Well, I'm in Mississippi, so I'm pretty sure you got the better end of the stick on that.
No, but I hear they have a good river down there. It's I forgot what it's called, but I hear it's nice.
Not that great. I'll be honest with you, it is not that great. It's very brown when you drive by it.
Yeah, I heard it's the brownest river in the Union. That's something.
It is, yeah.
So,
you don't look like a smoker. You're not a smoker, are you, David?
I'm from California. We don't really do that.
I thought not. Okay, so standard non-nicotine user. Okay, let me ask you one more question before I input numbers. What is a comfortable monthly amount that you would be able to put into that permanent policy that we talked about without taking food off your table? Realistically.
Oh man, that number, to determine that, I would need to understand the purpose and the end goal. I would reverse plan. So like, what's the goal of what I'm trying to build here?
Well, okay, well, let's talk about it. If, for example, David, you're somebody who needs life insurance. All right, perfect. Obviously, you're also a smart guy and you like talking about money, and you, I would imagine, would rather be an investor than a consumer. You would rather be a house owner than an apartment renter, right? So we're looking at a permanent policy. Now let's talk about an investment. If you were to invest X amount of dollars per month for your death benefit, your living benefits, and your cash value, this is an all-encompassing investment for this policy. What is a monthly amount that doesn't take food off your table that you could comfortably afford?
I mean, if I really wanted to just commit, I mean, I could. It's such a spectrum. Let's just split the difference. I could probably do 200,
Okay.
just for if there's a reason. But I mean,
I'm gonna show you the reason. Okay, let's say 200. 200 is a good number. We'll talk about 200. You're a young guy. You're only 31. Got the rest of your life ahead of you. You're gonna contribute $200 a month into this policy, and you're going to reap the benefits. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So as a 31-year-old non-smoking male, if you were to contribute $200 per month into a permanent life insurance policy, this is what it would look like, David. You would get an initial death benefit of $280,253. Okay?
I should have worn my glasses.
Did you not wear your glasses?
They're in my truck. But I can zoom in. There we go.
Okay, 280,000. Just over 280,000 is your initial death benefit. That means, David, if you got a policy today, we submitted the application, you got approved, something happened to you next week, your wife would get over $280,000 as your beneficiary, okay? So that's what that is. Now, let's look at these other numbers. I don't know if you can see this. I sure hope that you can, but there's this column right here that says surrender value.
Hold on. All I can see are the side where the menu is, where it says policy details, riders.
Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Can you turn it sideways? Maybe that'll help.
Sideways?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so now you see where it says surrender value?
Yes.
Okay, so you see after year 10, you have 18,158. That's your cash value. After year 20, you have 58,908. That's your cash value. At your retirement age, let's say 65, You have $157,276 in there. That's your cash value. That's all your cash. It's liquid. You can access it anytime. It's tax-free. Okay? So I wanted to show you that if you got a permanent policy, you're contributing $200 a month. That's how your money would grow. You would never lose that money. You have a TSP, you might lose that money. You have a 401k, you might lose that money. Whereas with
when we put this money into an insurance policy, it's growing, which means it must be invested. So if everyone else can lose their money when it's invested, how is this protected any differently than TSP, stocks, or even government bonds or banks? Like, how is it different? How is it backed differently?
No, that's a great question. Okay, so with accounts like mutual funds, stocks, 401ks,
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier, you have the potential for unlimited growth. There's no cap. You also have the potential for unlimited loss. There's no floor, okay? This one, you're earning at least a 6%. The caveat is that it will cap between 12 and 15%. In order to have your money protected and not lose it, they have to cap it at that percentage. Does that make sense?
So if it's all invested in the same place, I mean, all of it, whether it's me investing in the stock market individually or me providing my funds to a company or corporation to invest for me, when the stock market inevitably crashes, as it does every so often, I just don't understand how the math and the logistics of the money line up, so that if everyone else is hurting because the stock market crashed, how is it that an insurance company wouldn't be hurting? Because even if they deplete their reserves giving money back to people, wouldn't they still have to slow down and not give you your full? Since the market's crashing, everyone's going to pull their money out like they did in 08. So how is it protected 100%?
Reinsurance.
But reinsurance for those companies, isn't it invested in the very same stock market that hypothetically just crashed?
Do you know, let me ask you this, David. Do you know how many people actually have life insurance?
No idea.
It's a lot. It's
That's
a
fair.
lot. So imagine, let's say a million people. Let's say a million people, they're contributing, $200 a month, $100 a month, whatever it is. They're contributing that per month, okay? The insurance company is taking all of these hundreds and thousands of dollars and they're investing it into something. They're not always paying out death benefits. It's not like people are just dying and they're just throwing money at people, right? And there's people who don't always have to access this cash where they're just giving it out. They have the money. They have the money.
So the pool is large enough just due to the number of people.
The volume, yes. Yes. It's infinite banking. Infinite banking. If you put your money, if you put $10,000 into the bank account, it's FDI insured. You better believe that when you show up with your withdrawal slip, they better have your money, right? Banks, and you know this, are putting your money into these types of vehicles. So they don't have to worry about not having your money when you need it. They're not worried about not having your neighbor's money when they need it.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Your mind is so blown right now, David, that you can't even wrap it around the fact that something like this actually exists.
You caught me. That's it.
That's okay. But look, I want to show you something else really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. This death benefit, remember I said that you started with $280?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as your cash grows, your death benefit grows too. Because let's say for whatever reason, David, you never used any of that money for retirement, you never used it for any other investments, you never used it to buy that convertible, you never went, on a tour across Europe for your vacation, whatever you didn't use the money for, if something were to happen to you, then not only would your beneficiary get your death benefit, they would also get that cash value. So now your death benefit is growing as your cash value grows. Make sense?
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that last little bit of information out there to you. So let me ask you this, David. You've seen it, you've seen the numbers, you know it's a real thing. This is something that I put into place for people every single day. You, sir, are in a position where clearly you need life insurance. Let me ask you this though, let me back up. You haven't gotten out of the Army yet. The Army gives you an SGLI, do they not? Are you not planning on rolling that over into a VGLI?
I had heard about it, but I figured I would talk to the, whatever you call it, they keep changing the name, but the people who help you transition out in terms of how I can make it part of my veterans package.
The TAP office or the TAP assistant.
And they will refer you to a financial advisor. I went through that. So they're not much help.
You know what's funny about that? I worked with financial advisors. I was one. Those guys are not. I watched a guy invest $250,000 worth of these people's money while he was both drunk and high. I don't trust financial advisors.
And you should.
He did a great job. Great shoes, great tie. But no. So.
As you shouldn't, 100%. And the reason why I say that, listen, we all have our roles in this world, right? But financial advisors, they're going to tell you, buy term, invest the rest. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. It doesn't make sense. Now you're without life insurance when you need it, 30 years from now, 10 years from now. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. And those guys at Charles Schwab, they're investing their money in things that aren't going to be protected when there's a market loss. And I guarantee they're not answering their phones. They weren't answering their phones in 2008.
Well, I'm well aware. I've worked with a few of those guys, and they literally just get a Series 7 and a few other licenses. So, literally, one of the guys, he was a, RV salesman, and he had such high numbers that Wells Fargo went out and recruited him, put a bunch of money into giving him licenses, and then he was a financial advisor because he took the classes. And I was like, oh, I don't want to buy an RV from you, nor do I want to give you my hard-earned money.
Exactly. And this is why what we do, we take so seriously, because we have to go through the motions. We have to study. We have to take the test through the state. We have to make sure that our clients know what they're getting into. We have to make sure that our clients are financially capable to be able to afford these types of policies. We're never going to put somebody in a policy that doesn't make sense to them. It wouldn't make sense, David, for you to get $1 million death benefit if your income is $30,000 a year. That just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
It would make sense to whoever killed me for the money.
It would, I probably have my eyes on the closest one to you, but that's not here nor there. So let me ask you, David, you learned all of this information. You've had, a majority of your questions answered. Not everybody can get life insurance. I will put this out there. Not everybody can get life insurance. If they could get life insurance, then obviously more people would probably have it. They just would. There could be a number of reasons why somebody doesn't get insured. Maybe they have, a bad medical history. Maybe they're a smoker. Maybe their dad has a history of heart disease, or, they got diagnosed with cancer and they're in remission, but it's been less than 5 years. I mean, there's a multitude of reasons why people don't get qualified for life insurance. But let me ask you this.
Sounds like the people who need life insurance don't get life insurance.
Well, this is why it's so much. You're super young. You're only 31. This is why I tell people, get life insurance while you're young. Today is the youngest we're ever going to be. And I hate to say this to people, but it really is true. most people, a lot of people are only one doctor's visit away from not being insurable. I'll use myself for an example. I got insured immediately after starting with PHP agency. I got 2 insurance policies. Just last week, I had to go to the doctor. They did a liver panel. They took blood from me. They did a liver panel, and it turns out I have like high levels of something or other in my liver, right? So now I have this potential liver disease. I don't know that. I obviously have to go back to my doctor. But had that happened, had I went and saw the doctor prior to me getting a life insurance in place, I would be paying a lot more per month, or maybe I wouldn't even be insurable. So that's what I'm saying.
I do have a question that is a bit odd. I just found out I probably might have to get surgery on my hip in like a few months, courtesy of the U.S. Army. Both the surgery and the reason I need the surgery. But if I were to get life insurance just before the surgery, and then, you know, the anesthesiologist is drunk, saw that in Grey's Anatomy once, and things don't go so well and I don't wake up, would my family still get that, or would that be like too close to call?
No, so what would happen is, okay, for example, say we submitted an application today. Say I got all your information, I sent it to the insurance company. It takes 1 to 2 weeks for them to go through the underwriting process. But if something were to happen to you from today, as long as you got approved, then your family would get that death benefit paid out to them. Because they would backdate it to the day I put the application in. Make sense?
It does.
Absolutely. So then I'll ask you one more question and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. If this is something that we could get you approved for and you wanted to see that you could get approved for, putting in an application, would that make sense to you? Is that something that you would want to do?
Putting in an application to get a life insurance policy with
To get a
PHP?
policy? It wouldn't be through PHP. I'm the middleman. I'm the broker. I'm not the insurance company, nor am I the financial institution. That is not what PHP is. We brokerage for over 30 A-rated insurance company: American National, National Life Group, MetLife, AIG, John Hancock, Silac. I could go on and on. We're just the middleman. You know, like when you go to Expedia and you're like, hey, I want to go to Miami on this day, and you look at the different prices. That's what we do.
All right, then. So would I get a policy knowing everything I know now?
Would you get a policy knowing everything that you know now? Well,
Was that the question? Or
that's up to you. That's what I'm asking you. My job, David, and I will say this, as an insurance agent, if you are in a position or a situation where you need life insurance and you don't get it, and I have the opportunity to put something in place for you and something happened to you, I wouldn't be doing my job very well.
So if I were to die shortly after getting a policy, would my wife be on the phone with an agent of AIG or whoever, or with an agent of PHP?
Your wife would be speaking with me. I mean, she could always, like, say we went through AIG, she definitely could call the insurance company directly, but
you broker policies for other companies, but you are the point of contact. Your company would be the point of contact.
Absolutely. I am a life insurance agent. I am the one who helps clients when it comes to putting policies in place, when it comes time for their annual renewal and they want to change something on their policy. I am the one who is, the liaison. So
if this model is so effective, why has your company had such expeditious growth while other companies, the big ones, aren't doing this? Like, if they see that it's working and they're about to get smashed by a little guy like Under Armour and Nike Dynamic, why aren't they doing the same thing? What's so different?
When you say other companies, who are you talking about? Are you talking about the other insurance company, like the actual insurance company, like AIG, for example, or are you talking about other firms, like other brokerage companies?
Well, technically both.
So what happened, everything has become very automated.
Yep.
Everything is virtual now, right? So the insurance companies, they saw a need for, they took advantage, I'll say that, they took advantage of not having to have in-house employees, right? They don't have to have that anymore. So their overhead is less. Okay.
Yep.
So now they have people like us who broker for them. We're doing all the work for them. That's why they pay us so well, because we're bringing the client to the insurance company.
That checks out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure you've heard of other companies. I hate to bring their name up, but Primerica is an example of a company that is a brokerage company.
I just heard there was some shady place to go for people who were self-starters, needed work and couldn't find stuff other places. But I don't know. That's just what I heard from a few people.
Yeah, there's definitely people who go and get licensed. They get their life insurance license. Nothing wrong with that. And they want to be an entrepreneur. They want to be a business owner. So they go out. They start their own, insurance company, and they're not backed by everything that we have. So we have to have E&O insurance. It's errors and omission insurance. I have $3 million of E&O insurance. That way, my license is on the line if I don't do something that's up to par. You know what I mean?
So like malpractice insurance with a deductible?
Yeah, basically, essentially, yeah. I mean, let's say I told something about this policy, this is the policy that you need, and for whatever reason, they're like, oh, I didn't read the fine print, but my agent didn't tell me about it, and then they decide that they want to sue me, then my license is on the line, but this is why I have insurance. That way you know what I mean? I don't have to worry about that. So
my brother has malpractice insurance. It sounds like that. No, I was just saying, it sounds, the way you described your E&O, my brother has malpractice insurance for his medical something or other, and it sounds like almost the exact same thing. So it's good. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want a CYA, CMA, I guess it would be.
I prefer both. I mean, if that's an option, I don't.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that's why the insurance companies have cut out them having agents directly from their company. I mean, they still do. There's a handful that still do. I can't think of the name. National Western, maybe. There are a handful of agencies out there that still have agents working directly with them.
To be honest, I think insurance companies pick their names based on states and directions. Because I've heard National Western, I've heard of some other place with something East in the name. It seems like people in insurance love compasses. But nonetheless, this was really informative. I'm glad I did this, because in searching for life insurance, I now have like a deeper understanding of what I want to look for. My family was very helpful, but this gave me an in-depth look. So thank you for that. I appreciate that quite a bit.
Good. You're absolutely welcome. Well, I tell you what, David, you sound like somebody who is a very meticulous individual, technical, I would assume as well. And that's just a military thing from what I've learned. So
my wife calls it OCD.
Well, we all have names for it. I'm sure she says it out of love.
Oh yeah, OCD.
That's okay. My husband calls me OCD as well. But I'm just a clean freak. I'm like,
you know what? It takes one to know one. I saw it. I could tell. Welcome to the team. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks. So listen, you probably want to do your due diligence. Look at insurance companies. Look at infinite banking. Look at IUL permanent policies, index universal life policies. Look at reassurance. Look up IRC 7702. It's a tax code that allows us to put these types of policies in place. Look at those things. Look them up. Everything I said, I promise, was true.
I mean, I assumed that already, but I will take your word for it.
Yeah, definitely. So listen, you have Mac's information. He has yours. David, if this is something that you want you want help with to put in place, reach out to him. Reach out to him. That's all you have to do. He knows a guy or a girl.
Matt, can you please give me your phone number next time I see you randomly at the grocery store, and we'll set this up. How's that?
Do a drug deal, okay?
There you go.
Well,
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely welcome.
it.
Hey, I will say this, David. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon to be able to sit on this call with myself and Mac and learn something that you didn't know before. I know everybody else that's on this call maybe didn't know some of the things that we discussed. So all very, very helpful information and really great questions from you as well.
I just wanted to jump in earlier. I know you mentioned you were going to transition out of the military, here in like several months. But before you go through that process, as a veteran myself that's gone through that process, I do encourage you to look at life insurance before you do the transition, simply because you're going to look at like your disability. I don't know how long you've been in the military, but that's something you're going to look into as you transition. So they're going to review that medical record. So I encourage you to not waste more time, whether it's with, Mac, that you decide to go through to cover yourself, your family. It's something that you want to do today versus tomorrow, because so many things can change. They'll start going through labs. They'll start, doing all your medical stuff to prepare you as you transition. And obviously you're going to want to make sure everything is annotated, simply because at the end of the day, once you're out, you're going to want to get the max disability. I'm assuming that you can. So just for those reasons, a lot of things are going to be open. So just cover yourself, whether it's, through MAC, through PHP and the carriers, or outside of that. It's just to, as a veteran, I encourage you to do that for yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Mr. David, you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you have any other questions, definitely reach out to Matt. I think you have mine and my husband's phone number in that group chat that had the link as well. You're more than welcome to reach out to either one of us and ask questions as well, okay?
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, David. We'll talk to you soon.